All right, Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Shalom to all you brothers and sisters that might come across this video. Shalom to all the camps out there, and double honor to the elders and apostles of GMS. So this happened this morning. Israel, so-called Israel, struck Turkish military equipment at an airfield in Syria. So they keep provoking Turkey over there. They already said that they wanted a war with Turkey and Egypt eventually after they complete finishing with what they started with Iran, which is not going to happen. They're pretty much stuck, Israel and the U.S. So I'm gonna get a quick scripture right here. I'm gonna go to Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. And this is slowly happening. We seeing the so-called the NATO alliance between the Arabs, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and eventually I believe Iran will be in that, as well as Egypt. So everything is happening. And I got a quick clip right here. This is from Mario. You can go check out his stuff. He got pretty good stuff. Fair use, fair use, fair use. And I'm going to let this play.
In an airfield. Tom Barak called it an unnecessary escalation by Israel. And Axios reported that an Israeli official claimed the strike on the airbase was aimed at preventing Turkish and Syrian military buildup and the Turkish entrenchment in the area. So you could say that Israel pretty much struck Turkish assets. I'm not sure if there's any personnel. Some people are claiming there's Turkish personnel there inside of Syria. What's your position on this? I know it's kind of everyone loves to talk about a clash between those two countries. It drives the clicks. I find it pretty hard to fathom, but then I never thought we'd be at a war with Iran out of all countries. Do you worry there could be a clash between the two countries, Israel and NATO member Turkey?
I think Israel should worry if there's going to be a clash between the two countries, one that they are provoking. But just a comment in regard to Turkey and its leadership. When you make a deal with the devil, don't be surprised when the devil turns on you and tries to go to war with you. I mean, Turkey, especially the government loves to pretend as though, they have all this tough talk for the Israelis, because the people of Turkey do not favor the Israelis, are against the Israelis, especially after the absolute, genocide, slaughter, and barbarism that they've been carrying out against the Palestinians. But that is a little different from the leadership in Turkey. The government of Turkey is very happy to make all sorts of deals with the Israelis, especially when it comes to something like overthrowing Bashar al-Assad in Syria.
And that's going to change. Eventually, everybody's pretty much tired of so-called Israel right now. So the people going to rise up. I don't know if they're going to overthrow the government in Turkey, but eventually they're going to have to act. And they ain't going to be sitting back just allowing Israel to do whatever they want anymore, eventually.
Now, both Israel and Turkey had their own reasons for wanting to do that, different reasons for wanting to do that. But I don't think that any intelligent government leadership would ever even consider making any type of deal with the Israelis. That's insane. That being said, I mean, F around and find out, Israel. I mean, if you think we're having a tough time with Iran, Turkey's military is formidable, even more formidable than Iran's. So does Israel believe that they have the right to exist? Because they're not acting like it. And something that I'm starting to really think is going to happen. Israel is creating a situation in which they are making themselves and their country less safe. They are provoking their neighbors. They're provoking countries in the region. They are trying to intensify conflict and war. And we are finding ourselves in a situation where we're not going to be able to defend Israel if we're running out of missile interceptors and, military assets that we desperately need. Obviously, our military bases in the Gulf have been destroyed
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
by Iran. And right now, there's a new piece out in the Washington Post indicating that informally, there are government officials in the US who are starting to reconsider whether we're even going to have a presence in the Gulf, whether or not we're actually going to rebuild those military bases. So this is happening in the backdrop as Israel is trying to, I guess, provoke more war with countries that have a far more formidable military. So what are they going to do? Are they going to get India to defend them? I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. What I want is for the United States to get out entirely. In fact, it would have been better for the United States to create diplomatic ties with Iran, because Iran would have been a far better economic partner to the United States as opposed to Israel, which just sucks the life out of our country, sucks the resources, sacrifices our soldiers for their wars. Israel is a pariah for a reason.
The least of the flock shall draw them out. So they're going to continue to do that. Draw out the U.S. every time there's a problem. So,
and the American people realize that. Unfortunately, our government, which is paid off by the Israelis, bought by the Israelis, and blackmailed by the Israelis, doesn't get that.
Where do you see the because you speak to a lot of people, a lot of the same people we both speak to, and you cover this on a daily basis. Where do you see this all heading? There's one camp that is worried about, Marjorie Taylor Greene did a post yesterday about Trump considering nukes that everyone's talking about. So some people, 2 days ago.
Yes.
Have you spoken to many people about this? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I totally forgot my original point. I'm sorry about my rant, but this was my original point to the previous question. I'm worried that Israel is creating the conditions in which they think it would be justified to use nuclear weapons. And I am worried about that. I've been worried about that. And there's really no other explanation. I mean, Israel's not dumb. They know what the situation on the ground is. They know the military limitations of the United States at the current moment and its inability to protect Israel. Israel has something known as the Samson option, where if they feel that the very existence of Israel is under threat, they will deploy nuclear weapons. I think they're kind of creating the conditions in order to do this. And in their minds, they think they would be justified in using, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons. And so when you really stop to think about the hilarity
I'm going to stop her right there. So you heard it. She said so-called Israel is going to use their Samson option. So, or they're trying to create the conditions to do that. And that's good. It's only going to lead to their destruction. So I'm going to end it right there, and I'm going to say shalom.